With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible. So the client, once we install everything, it's pretty much gonna be a turnkey. So he's gonna press start on his computer, and right after, we'll try to explain everything, how it goes, how it works, and then he's ready to go. Our aluminum is from USA, treated in Canada, cut in Canada. So we do sand all our aluminum piece just to make sure the powder coat sticks to it. And that's one of the reasons why we use powder coat, is to make sure you have the best aluminum finish in the industry. And our quality is beyond what you can get with any other competitors right now. We are really, really passionate about all the gear, all the cockpits, all the sim hardware. And that's why we want to create something that's really gonna reflect our passion into our product. Come visit us at advancedsimracing.com. You can always reach us. If you have any questions, you can call us, you can text us, you can go on Facebook, like our page, ask us questions over there, and we'll make sure to answer every questions there is. We are very passionate about what we do, and we try to make it as easier for you to go into the sim racing world, because there's a lot of gear, there's a lot of options, but let us guide you through your process. And let's hope you'll be an Advanced Sim Racing customer.
It was a family affair last week in Talladega. Doug Evans, pushed by his son Jeff, won his first race in the Precision Racing League in a feel-good story that we kind of all needed last week. Can Doug W. Evans live up to his middle initial once more, or is there going to be an equal and opposite reaction for the rest of the field in Newton, Iowa? Welcome to round 3 of the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series, live from the virtual Iowa Speedway. I'm Joey Tebben, and I'm feeling corny. With me in the booth for his kernels of wisdom is Terry Radford, and behind the scenes is Corn Arimatic. Speaks for itself, Terry. Iowa corn, 7/8 of a mile, a little bit of a bull ring. What's going to happen tonight?
It's gonna
corn.
pop off. It's gonna pop off like kernels, you know, like Orville Redenbacher in this place. This is a great racetrack. No idea why the Cup Series don't come here. The trucks always put on a great show. The PRL always puts on a great show. And I honestly don't think I've ever had to have a producer tell me to speak.
Oh, trust me, it'll be happening for 7 more weeks. Let's take a look at those 7 more weeks right here. After we finally leave Iowa, we go all the way to the other side of the country to Las Vegas, and then the usual NASCAR races to finish off the season: Homestead, Martinsville, and Phoenix. And then we go on for 3 more weeks. iRacing Superspeedway will not be the finale. It'll be round 8. And then Dover and Auto Club to finish things out. We mentioned Auto Club as the finale next week. I think that's a pretty darn good place for a finale still. The 2-mile D-shaped oval before they finally take the excavators to that track, whenever that happens. And we will decide not only the 2022 Season 4 champion for the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, but also the playoff champion at Auto Club.
Yeah, and I honestly don't know why they're tearing that track up. That's probably been the best track of the whole season. And unfortunately, apparently they know better than we do. We don't know what good racing looks like anymore.
Maybe we don't, but we know what good racing looks like in the Precision Racing League, at least. Here's a look at how the 2022 playoffs have gone so far. Of course, this is the season-long championship. There also is still just the individual 2022 Season 4 championship, but this is for the whole year. Bradley Holly, obviously completely safe with all of his points at the top of the table. Acosta, Evans, Sink, Cervantes, and Colton Lane, and even Austin Hunter, I think, are all mathematically locked in with how many cars are in the field. Mark Kalin and Adam Zemke should be in good shape, but look down to those bottom 7. Stacey Hunter, Jose Medina, Ryan Traver, Geyer Sumner, Nick Hunter, and Jim Westerfield. A lot of those drivers, especially the 2 down at the bottom, they're basically hoping for a win tonight to make the round of 12.
Yeah, Nick Hunter's going to have to win, so is Jim Westerfield. But right there with Jose Medina, that's a bit of a trap, because if you look at Sumner and Geyer, that could flip. I mean, Ryan Traver could go out here and have a 5th-place night and put Medina to the bottom. Geyer could go have a 6th-place night. Medina fall back to like 15th, 16th. He's out. So that's going to be interesting to follow through this whole race.
And we don't want to lose track of the individual season championship for 2022 Season 4. We'll have points for you on that next week, but I will tell you that it's Jeff Evans. After 2 consistent races, only a 7th and a 2nd, but it all adds up to the championship lead for him right now. But before we can go any further, we have to thank all the people who make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible here on RaceSpot. Of course, as always, VCO, the virtual competition organization, helping us out here at RaceSpotTV and helping make every single Precision Racing League broadcast possible this season. Also, Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision5 coupon code. This coverage is also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, Racebox's button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit RaceboxSimRacing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision5 coupon code as well. And from Racebox to RaceLab, RaceLab apps. RaceLab helps you to improve your driving skills. With modern overlays, race statistics, and native VR integration, you can get the best out of iRacing. Start using it now for free at racelab.app. And from RaceLab to the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products provide an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with the Butt Kicker. And last but not least, Ninja Trader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Of course you are. Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, Ninja Trader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. Ninja Trader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit ninjatrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance. I was tracking the driver's performance in practice there. It was Sean Powell on top, and he has recreated that here in qualifying. And once again, it's Phase 2 chassis works, locking out the front row, at least for the moment, with Powell and Regan. But there's still some takers out on track. Abner Acosta, I believe, is just starting his run now, very, very late in the session.
Yeah, it is very late in the session. We got 2.5 minutes exactly to go. And no surprise. You know, you look back at last season with Sean Powell, he was very good on the short track portion of it. But Abner Acosta was very good too. I mean, we can't sleep on him. I'm pretty sure at one point in time he led every single lap in a race. I think it was Lucas Oil. You can kind of put that one in the same category where a driver's going to go out there and really be able to put a show on. Let's see, he timed in here 28. So the first lap he rode the wall Now he's going to ride at the bottom through this very short racetrack. We're barely on the throttle. And he's going to go down here in 3 and 4. I think that this is tracking to be almost close to pole. He should be in the top 5.
A little bit loose out of 4, but Abner Acosta takes it to the line, 23.561. Not quite good enough for pole, but he breaks up the Phase 2 Chassis Works first row. Abner Acosta goes to the outside of row number 1. Adam Zemke is also still out on track, going for his first laps here. He's going to cross the line to kick off his run here. Down to the yellow line goes Adam Zemke, the driver of number 57. Haven't seen much of him this season, unfortunately. Kicked off round 2 of the season last year with a win at Chicagoland, trying to get back to his winning ways in his PRL playoffs run. Through turns 3 and 4, he's also going to roll the top, and Adam Zemke will be on the clock for hopefully a more legitimate lap this time around.
Well, it was very weird right there for him because in turns 1 and 2, he ran the bottom, unlike Abner Acosta on that first lap. He ran the wall all the way around this place. But now, you know, he's going to go finally traditionally to the bottom here in 3 and 4. Throughout the race, though, you know, qualifying is a lot different. You want the shortest distance, but the race we're going to see people go all the way up against the wall, all the way down to the bottom. And shockingly enough, he was only 0.2 faster. It moved him from like 27th up to 7th, but there isn't a whole lot of difference here between their first lap and second lap.
Jim Westerfield, the driver who basically needs to win tonight or have a very, very good finish and have some of his playoff rivals have a very, very bad finish. First lap, once again, just like all of his Whataback teammates, just like about everybody else in the field, backs it up just a little bit, builds up the speed in turns 3 and 4. Westerfield sends it through turns 3 and 4 here for a legitimate lap, a little bit off the yellow line, a little bit high, but let's see if it works for him in terms of lap time. 23.842 crossing the line. He's going to improve, but Jim Westerfield, I'm sure, is going to be disappointed with that qualifying. He's going to have to drive up through the field from 26th on the grid to overcome a 21-point deficit below the playoff cut line. But on pole, it is Sean Powell once again, always a strong driver in qualifying and going to be a very, very difficult driver to beat on the race. But who is more scary to have to your outside than Abner Acosta? And who is more scary to have behind you than Richard Regan Jr.? 3 titans of the trucks, 1, 2, 3, 4, and Thomas Sink right next to him. Jeff Hollingsworth is in a good spot in 5th, and Bradley Holly starts on the 3rd row in 6th. Adam Zemke got up to 7th at the end. Championship leader Jeff Evans is 8th. Steve Loving, a good run for him in 9th, and Mark Kalin is 10th. The aforementioned Nick Hunter, a good qualifying in 11th, and Dalton Geyer is P12 alongside him. Doyle Lawrence and Scotty Reinshield, 13th and 14th. Austin Hunter out-qualified by Nick. Patrick Cowgill is 16th, and then Charles Sumner and Adam Shane round out the first half of the field here. Doug Evans, 19th, hoping to follow up on his win from last week alongside Eric Lambert. Colton Lane and Stacy Hunter are row 11, and Ryan Traver and Kevin McGarvey are behind them. 25th went to Zach Panzarella. Jim Westerfield has some work to do from 26th. CM Pennington, Jose Medina, Brandon Walter, Dylan Schmidt, Oliver Goff, James Dewar, Robert Goff, and Tom Amasi were the last 4 drivers to set a lap time. And then Garrett Austin and Robert Happy Gilmore did not set a lap time in qualifying, but they will be starting from the back of the grid as far as I know. Also, looks like Tom Amasi didn't really get a legitimate lap time in there either. I'm sure he had a little bit of a spin or something to be 7 seconds slower. Well, we go for 2 pace laps here as the track is shorter than a mile, Terry, but what's going to be the key here? Is it going to be Abner Acosta's tire-saving skills, or is it going to be Sean Powell's track position right now?
Yeah, I'm confused in qualifying, and I'm actually very, very excited for this race because we were from P1 all the way down to 27th back there with Jim Westerfield. It was only 0.3 of a second that separated the pole to them. So it's going to be an entertaining race. It's going to come down to saving fuel or in tires. This track could go into many different ways. If Abner Acosta is able to save those tires throughout this entire run, if it stays green. If we get a caution that's going to break this up, you know, he's really not going to have a big thing to worry about here. But he's also got to get around the 2 Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers. I mean, Richard Regan Jr. is going to get the jump on the start behind Sean Powell. That's just a given. So he's going to have to work from 3rd to do it.
Lights are out in the iRacing sedan pace car, and we are ready to go racing at Iowa. It's Sean Powell on pole for the 2nd time only in his PRL Truck Series career. I believe he has a pair of cup poles in addition to that, but It's a rarer sight than you might think to see Sean Powell leading the field to green here in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. But Abner Acosta alongside him in maybe a fittingly yellow-colored truck in the land of the corn. Going to watch from the rear bumper of Sean Powell's truck here, and I'm sure that's a view that he will be probably looking at his mirrors quite a bit, seeing his teammate behind him all night. Richard Regan Jr., of course, won the first race of the season back at Texas. Then it was Doug Evans who won last week, but let's see. Can we make it a third different winner this season? Can Sean Powell win for the first time? Can Abner Acosta take him down? Who knows what's going to happen, but it's Iowa. It's going to be crazy. The iRacing sedan pace car pulls off down pit road, and Sean Powell will take the green flag. We're going racing at Iowa. The laps do not take very long indeed. We've already got a spin in the background. I think that was Nick Hunter going through the grass. Yes, it is. Great qualifying for Nick Hunter, and he's already down at the back of the field. Caution is not going to come out for that because he kept the truck pointed straight. I think I saw Richard Regan Jr. get into the wall in the exit of 4 as well. Tight quarters on lap 1. We're already seeing some drivers get a little bit slidey.
Yeah, and we didn't look at the track temp here, but I'd imagine that it's pretty decently up there, especially to see the way these drivers kind of have been tiptoeing here. You haven't seen a whole lot of drivers drive in there and really try to make it stick or force the issue in turn 1. And especially I kind of thought with the way that Abner Acosta has been over the past couple of weeks that would be the opportunity for him to throw it in there. But you see the replay down there in the box. He's just going to mash the throttle too much. He's going to go to try to get down before that truck gets straight, hit the throttle, and it's just going to spin the rear 2 tires. It's going to make it a little bit unbearable on the back end.
Richard Regan Jr. did dispatch Abner Acosta despite slightly scraping the wall on the outside, running a much, much higher line than his teammate Sean Powell. Looks a little bit like an IndyCar race at Iowa with a bit of indecisiveness on what line you can run, but this track might have been built for IndyCar racing. Was it built for IndyCar racing? I think it might have been. It was Rusty Wallace who designed it either way, but it's a multi-groove racetrack in any type of car you put on here, and we are seeing the effects of that right now. Scotty Reinshield, Mark Kalin, and Dalton Guy are behind, all running 3 completely different grooves through 3 and 4. You don't see that at every single track we go to.
Especially on a short track. I mean, Bristol used to be good until they tore turn 1 up and then decided to put progressive banking in it. But Iowa's been perfect since the start, since the conception of this racetrack. Everything has been right about it, and whether it's right in the bottom, right in the middle, right in the top. I remember NASCAR Heat 4, and I know it's iRacing, but NASCAR Heat 4, this track was the most raciest track you'd be at. Then you come to iRacing and you're like, I wonder if this correlated from Xbox or NASCAR Heat 4 to here. Well, it did, because every single line fits perfect, and it just does what you want. I mean, you see Thomas Sink all the way out there. He's dang near in the 3rd line. And then you got Hollingsworth all the way back there. Everybody can do something different, and that's refreshing at a racetrack.
Saw Hollingsworth get a little bit loose a couple laps ago as well, but he's trying to set his sights forward. Abner Acosta, always a driver who who holds back here. He lugs back just a little bit. Is that a word? I don't know, but that's what he's doing.
Who cares?
And you see him later on in the tire run really light those things up. But also, that's been kind of disproven this season because both of these Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers, you see them going really hard out of the gate. You see them pulling these gaps to Acosta, to Holly, to the rest of the field. And you would think they'd be destroying their tires early. You'd think they'd fall off a little bit at the end. But that hasn't really been the case. Powell and Regan have kind of been the class of the field so far this season, and it's too early to prognosticate what's going to happen here. It's only 10 laps into the run, but I wonder, is that going to be another Abner Acosta situation where the tires don't turn up at the end and these Phase 2 Chassis Works guys are just doing too good of a job?
Well, there's a lot that goes into fixed racing. Your steering offset, you know, your ratio across the board. You could have a 16-to-1 ratio out here and run like a +5 offset. No, I'm not saying that's what I do, and I don't even know if it works. I'm just giving you an idea. But you could run something close, and you could do something that way. And just, you could run 50, 60 laps at a time and see if it saves your tires. You don't never necessarily have to sit here and just quarter throttle it. But if that's him quarter throttling it, and if you're fourth on back and he's just sitting here like tiptoeing around here like, yep, I'm just going to save my tires in front of you, I would, that'd be a little disrespectful. I would, if I was Thomas Sink, I'd be like, man, hope I'm not the first guy he's tire saving on here.
I can't imagine Regan is saving very much because he's running that higher line, at least from my experience. I always go up there, I'm thinking, you know, I'm gonna take a little bit of speed out. I might be saving a little bit, and then it turns out I'm just scrubbing the tires extra for the entire time. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but clearly Richard Regan Jr. thinks that's the place to be, up below the second dotted white line. He's been up there literally since the start of this race, and he's not moving down at all. He's very, very happy up there, but I wonder if that's going to come at the expense of his tire life.
Yes and no. It all depends on how you're charging the corners and how you're abusing exit. If you can back up your entry here, especially at Iowa, and I would say it here, Richmond, Dover, a place like this, you know, a place like this racetrack. If you back that entry up and you allow it to float through the center, and then you allow it to just roll off the exit and allow that straightaway speed without breaking loose, and without having to necessarily just saw at the wheel to get it in there, you have a good opportunity to put yourself in a tire saving mode. He's not losing time. Hell, if anything, he's gaining time. You know, he's losing in turns 1 and 2, but 3 and 4, he's killing it. It was a 24.44 for Sean Powell. It was a 24.41 there, the second to last lap for Richard Regan Jr. He's doing a very, very well job holding that outside lane and going for it.
Update to some of our playoff drivers down there on the cut line. It's not been a good start for Traver or Medina, unfortunately. Traver down in 25th, Medina down in 30th. Those are the two drivers above the playoff cut line. You can see Charles Sumner and Dalton Geyer, two drivers who are below the cut line, are very well outpacing both of those guys. Dalton Geyer, who is 3 points below the cut line, is ahead of Ryan Traver by 13 points. If things end as they are right now, it'll be safely in the round of 12 for Dalton Geyer. He will move on to the next round. Charles Sumner is in a little bit of a tougher spot. I think he's literally outpacing Medina by exactly the amount of positions that would tie him with Medina on points. So that's going to be a complicated situation. We'll have to catch up on that a little bit later, but it's been a great run for Dalton Geyer. He's doing exactly what he needs to do right now.
Yeah, I don't know how to do math, so kind of just here. We'll see the points, you know, a little later on. But I mean, that's like what I said to start the show. When we started talking about the point standings, it could flip one way or another. There wasn't one driver in that last bottom 4, bottom 6 that you could go, yep, they're a lot, because it's been their strength and weaknesses that's kind of kept them in this anyhow. Some of them are better at the 1.5 miles, some are much better at the short track, some are better at the plates. So here we are, and Dalton Geyer, Charles Sumner, they're doing what they need to do. Charles Sumner just needs to get up there a little bit more, maybe get behind Dalton Geyer and try to work together to get to the front.
Watching the struggles of Stacy Hunter here, another driver who is safer than Medina and Traver are, but Stacy Hunter is only 12 points above the cut line. Little bit of argy-bargy. CM Pennington and the 17 of Dylan Schmidt are getting into a little bit of an argument down the back straight. Don't quite know what caused that, but might have just been synchronized loose as Dylan Schmidt all over the place right now. 22 laps into the run. It's still early, but Dylan Schmidt is getting a little bit wiggly now. Doyle Lawrence is going to get to the outside of CM Pennington. James Dewar is going to try and run the wall. Still side by side down the back straight. We are racing very, very hard for the last couple spots in the top 20. Lawrence almost gets into the back of CM Pennington. They've got that solved for the moment, but now James Dewar tries to take advantage of Dylan Schmidt.
Yeah, it's back here a battle for, I believe, 22nd, 23rd. But every spot matters. Everything matters. I mean, you got people back here that are fighting for a playoff spot that's just here to get it. I believe there's a driver coming down pit road right there.
Doyle Lawrence.
Yeah.
Doyle Lawrence just pulled off track. Is this a legitimate strategy to come down pit road this early? I'm not so sure. We also saw Brian Hoskins come in a little bit earlier. He went 5 laps down, so I have to imagine that wasn't a scheduled service there. But I can't imagine that's a scheduled stop for Doyle Lawrence. It's got to be way too early.
I'd hope not. I mean, like I said, I ain't very good at math, but I don't want to pit on lap 25 of anything. I'm at least going to push this thing out to 30 or 40. I mean, you know you can. But you see the battle for fourth right here between Bradley Holly and Thomas Sink. These two drivers right here, early in the season looking for footing. I know Bradley Holly doesn't necessarily need to find the footing there, but he talked about it last week about the competition getting up. Well, Thomas Sink's part of that competition, and he's at 48, man. He's on a roll finally.
Yeah, Holly, the 14-time PRL NASCAR Truck Series champion, got beaten by Abner Acosta last season. He's the first to admit, like Terry said, that the competition has gotten harder than it's ever been. But right now, he's challenging his teammate Thomas Sink for that 4th place spot. 27 laps into the run, this might be the time where the tires start to spin around just a little bit. The tire lives rather start to flip around a little bit. Thomas Sink, usually a driver who's pretty solid on the long run, but Holly and Acosta, they've always been the classes of the field in previous seasons. Holly's just kind of running in the tire tracks of Thomas Sink here, both running up a little bit higher in turn 3, but Holly is giving his teammate a lot of company here and a lot of pressure.
Yeah, with the little Star Wars stuff there on the top. I believe that might be a fridge behind, maybe a safe. We'll have to ask him a little later on. But I watched Thomas Sink right here on our monitor. You see the back end start to can out a little bit when he goes to the center of the corner, especially when it goes off exit. You'll see it bob itself back in when it kicks. We'll see it here in turn 1. He's going to go in. You're going to see it kind of like it's going to cant. Back end's wanting to turn the entire way through this corner. It just looks like it wants to go, and then it shifts itself back. That's part of the camber and caster in these cars, or these trucks, mind you. When you go in, you start to get a little skew in the back, and then it just rotates it through, and then it plants it back, and then it keeps doing that all the way through. It's a little fun when you start to look a little deeper into these things.
Scotty Reinshield, the 3rd of the Phase 2 Chassis Works drivers, making his way up through the field, trying to join his 2 teammates at the head of it. Mark Kalin to his inside, now to his rear. Good move by Scotty Reinshield there around the outside. Steve Loving is up next. Reinshield looks pretty solid right now. He must have been saving something, and as I say that, he gets loose off of 4, and that's going to be Kalen's chance to take advantage. Kalen swerved down probably about 4 lanes too much. That move is probably not going to work out. Reinshield's going to have a little bit of deja vu here, but he should be able to clear him with the momentum on exit. He is, and now again, he looks forward to Steve Loving, hopefully without getting loose in 4 this time.
Yeah, I mean, Reinshield coming on this season, honestly, I don't think anybody in the PRL was surprised when it comes to see what he was able to do run-wise. We didn't see very many people drive into the top 10 last season, especially newer people. The newer people kind of just like was outside the top 15. Reinshield came in and said, hey, no, I'm here. I'm competing top 5, top 10s for wins every single week in the PRL. And for Mark Kalin, like, he's an established vet when it comes to the PRL Truck Series, and he's learning what Bradley Holly had to learn. The competition's gotten a whole lot stiffer, and it's, I think, the age. We'll have to ask the PRL guys what the average age is here, and see who the older guys are, because the newer generation of these PRL Truck and Cup Series drivers is getting a little bit younger, and the talent level is just rising at an accelerated rate.
Sink's having a little bit of a struggle here. He's still maintaining the gap to Holly, but I saw him get loose on the previous lap. Let's see if he can keep it together off of 4 this time. Yeah, he's in better shape this time, but Holly is still very much keeping him company. You can see down on the bottom right of your screen, Charles Sumner holding up a little bit of a train with Adam Shane in the 79, who was chasing him down, but now it's Shane's turn to shave a little bit off the wall. Brandon Walter is going to get to the inside of him into turn 1. the inside really doesn't seem to be the place to be on older tires right now. I guess you can make a move down there when you're early on in a run, when you're being really aggressive, if you have more life than the driver on top of you, but at least right now, going into turn 1, you really don't want to be on the bottom. You don't want to be on the bottom off of 4 either, and you don't want to be on the top if you're Adam Shane, because that wall is sucking you in every single time.
Yeah, you actually hit the nail right on the head. You want to be on the bottom predominantly, especially longer on you go, and that'll kind of allow the truck to do whatever you really want it to do. But that outside lane's been a bit troublesome for them, because when they're trying to get too much out of it, and that's been kind of the theme of opens and fix this week so far, is everybody's trying to do a little too much. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes less throttle means you get a better back straightaway speed coming off the corner, especially if the truck's not set all the way. Or, less is more when it comes to not taking that dive bomb into 1 or into 3. But here it's just, you want to go. Track position is going to be key. But these drivers, you're going to have to kind of back her down just a tad bit, because you don't want to take the people around you. And I'm sure Eric Lambert, he doesn't want to get wrecked right here. And I'm sure Doug Evans doesn't want to get wrecked back here either.
Last week's winner at Talladega, Doug Evans, now looks like he's actually setting his sights forward here. Started further back than I'm sure he would have liked, but he's been slowly but surely picking people off. Back up into 19th. Next up on his list is Eric Lambert. He did get to the inside, but he backed out of it. Lambert almost gets into the back of Brandon Walter, who again is running 3 different grooves in that 3-car battle. Patrick Cowgill as well to the inside of Mark Kalin. Scotty Reinshield, who I thought was driving his way forward, has actually just been falling through the field. You can see him in the background side by side with Dalton Geyer as well. But it's Cowgill and Kalin side by side. Geyer and Reinshield still side by side behind. Kalin's going to hang on. But Patrick Cowgill giving him a lot of company here, trying to get that last spot in the top 10.
Well, Reinshield started falling whenever he got loose off the corner. And whenever he scrubbed a little bit off the rears, that really took his momentum away, and he couldn't catch it. As there's a truck, that's the 85.
Oliver Goff.
What a perfect landing on pit road.
Lucky or maybe unlucky to not bring the caution out there. I don't think he would have brought it out either way, but Oliver was probably hoping that he wouldn't go about 5 laps down here, but unfortunately, he likely will. We'll see if he hit the barrels there, but it's a tough pit entry. We're starting to get around the time where some drivers are starting to think about legitimate pit stops. Let's see what happened to Oliver Goff. Yeah, late decision to come down, and a very much too late decision. And did he back? Oh, Oliver Goff, you can't do that. He's backing up. He's trying to get to pit lane. I think he would have saved more time just going around. He got in there. He didn't hit the barrels, but that is a very interesting maneuver there, Oliver.
See, normally when I do that, I get the, hey, driver, they're curling the black flag. Your driving's not that. See, Richard Regan Jr., you called it. Tire wizard himself, Abner Acosta, he's got up there the back bumper of Richard Regan Jr. But lap traffic's playing a little bit of a spell in between these drivers. They're coming up here. You can't see who that truck is, but they're going to catch him hopefully in a timely manner. Oh, the 05 there. That's Tom Lamasi. Hopefully they catch him there, not going into the corner, so it doesn't slow him up.
Oh, and that's not it. There is a whole hornet's nest coming up. Robert Gilmore, Garrett Austin, Nick Hunter, Ryan Traver. It basically never ends. They finally clear Tom Amasi, but that checked up Regan just enough to let Acosta get to the inside here. Through turn 1, is Abner going to be able to take advantage of those fresher tires likely down there on the bottom? It looks like he's able to pull alongside with Regan, but the momentum on the outside is just almost unbeatable. He's still going to send it down to the inside through 3 and 4. A little bit of a wider exit of this corner because of the way the track is shaped, but it's still going to be Regan hanging on there on the top. And as these two fight, even though Sean Powell is coming up the lap traffic, he's not getting held up at all. He just dispatched of Dylan Schmidt, who I believe has gone multiple laps down, Robert Gilmore as well, and a few other drivers still coming up on Sean Powell's radar, but luckily for him, his 2 rivals are too busy fighting each other behind him.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be the good part about it. I mean, you look at the lap times when they come across. I'll see once it recycles itself through here. Sean Powell, wherever he went on my timing board. Oh, they all quicker. Yeah, 10th quicker here than them. So not too bad as he continues to go, but he's going through a ton of lap traffic. But the good part about it right now is Richard Regan Jr. still holding the 5 Abner Acosta off, and they're catching lap traffic off the exit of the corners, which is not good for the straightaway speed here.
So when you start to think about that green flag pit stop, it's got to be coming soon. We're about to reach halfway in about, do the math, 10 laps time or so.
That's what I'm thinking.
You race directly in half?
Oh, yeah. I'm taking it. We got a replay here of, it's live of Doug Evans going side by side here, going to take a position here. That would be the winner from last week. I believe he's going into the top 20 here.
Yeah, slowly but surely. Doug Evans has been just marching his way forward, marching through the wilderness, up into 17th now for Doug Evans. Just taking them one by one by one by one, almost to halfway here in the race. And Mark Kalin, speak of those green flag pit stops, Mark Kalin's going to be the first legitimate taker. Going to get it slowed down. It's a very, very difficult pit lane here at Iowa. I hope everybody has been practicing. Mark Kalin clearly a lot of experience here, and he will be the first taker here, trying to do a little bit of an undercut here to take advantage. We're running nearly a second and a half a lap slower on these older tires late in the run. So if you're a driver like Mark Kalin, who is just kind of riding around in the last couple spots in the top 10, can't blame him for thinking undercut right now.
No, you can't at all, but if I'm one of the leaders, if I'm Powell, Regan, Acosta, Holly, Minnie, Zemke, Evans, one of them, I'm thinking halfway. You go halfway, not trying to jinx this, but we've been caution free, right? So if this race plays the way that it's kind of shifted towards, is that we're going to be single filed out, catch lap traffic, and then we're good. I'm going to wait to that halfway point because you see them side by side here. They almost wreck him. What are you going to do if you were just on pit road and that caution comes out? You're kind of in no man's land.
It was Garrett Austin on the outside there. Richard Regan Jr. giving a little bit of a hello to his fellow pink truck. And you can see Oliver Goff in the background. That'll tell you the difference between old and new tires. Oliver Goff recently came down pit road. We saw him kind of do a J-turn to get down there, but either way, he has new tires on that truck. He is 4 laps down now, but he's going to get by Abner Acosta because he is running lap times that are almost a full second quicker than Acosta. I'm sure Abner's not too happy about this, but when you're that much faster, you've got to make the move eventually, and Oliver Goff is not going anywhere. He'll clear Abner Acosta here soon, probably clear Regan as well, but right now, I think he's the bane of Abner Acosta's existence.
That he is. He's been the bane of his existence. As you go back here, you look at Bradley Holly, Thomas Sink still going at it for the battle for 4th. They haven't, gotten off of each other's bumper since the start of this race 55 laps ago. As my wife, comes in and the dogs are barking tremendously in the background, her walking in the door. But the 48's kind of been holding him up here. No offense to Thomas Sink, but the higher lanes he goes, the more Bradley Holly's going to sneak that nose under there. And then the cut is going to have to come as who does the race to come on pit road first.
Holly trying to make the inside work on Thomas Sink here. Hasn't been the easiest place to make the move. Down into turn 3, almost all the way down to the yellow line. Washes up just a little bit, about a quarter of a truck length. I'm sure Thomas Sink isn't going to fight him too hard here, but they're still side by side coming through the front straight. Holly's fighting him hard, but again, it looks like it is so difficult to make that move on the bottom, especially later on in the run. We've reached halfway now. Patrick Cowgill's in. These tires are struggling quite a bit, and Holly is very much struggling to get by Thomas Sink.
Yeah, he's having a hard time. You see he's catching lap traffic here. He's going to try to slide it there, but it's not going to work. You don't want to scrub him all the way up against the racetrack here, but we'll see what he's able to do as Adam Zemke comes down pit lane from I believe that's from the 7th place spot here. I wonder if Bradley Holly's going to try to go in the lane above him.
Richard Regan Jr. from the 2nd place in the race is in. Garrett Austin follows him in. There's the little bit of damage that you saw from his little scraping endeavor with Garrett Austin. Jim Westerfield on newer tires is going to get by Sink and Holly. Sink is going to get held up by Dylan Schmidt up there on the top. Holly's trying to decide where to go. He's going to elect to go to the outside here. Are they both going to bring it in this lap? Their teammates have been bringing it in very recently. Kalen did. The car ramrod drivers of Sumner and Adam Zemke both brought it down pit lane. Jeff Hollingsworth, Eric Lambert, and a few others have all elected to bring it down. Everybody's got to come in soon. We'll see how long it takes Powell and Acosta and the rest of the gang to come in. There's Charles Sumner, who is just exiting now. Mark Kalen's last lap time, for an example of a driver on new tires, 24.3. Sean Powell's last lap time, 25.2. So Mark Kalen has pulled off an undercut here. We'll see where he ends up overall. Acosta's in next. Looks like CM Pennington behind him. Time is running out. Green flag pit stops are coming for everybody.
Yeah, I kind of would imagine when Thomas Sink and Sean Powell and Bradley Holly are going to come in. You see Powell's going to come in now. Bradley Holly's coming in. That kept Sink out there. So if you think about this here, if you're Scotty Ryan Shields and you're Steve Loving, Austin Hunter, any of those drivers down there that's kind of been 10, 14, 15 seconds off, you don't have a shot here. If you undercut this, what you're praying for is the caution flag to come out. If that doesn't happen, you get back out there, you're done. But if you were one of those drivers,
I got to interrupt you here, Terry. Richard Regan Jr. is still in his stall. That is far heavier damage than I initially thought. I thought that was just damage from the Garrett Austin incident, but unrelated. The caution is also out on the track. Chaos unfurling here under the pit cycle. Stacy Hunter was the cause of this caution. Thomas Sink and Jeff Evans, I think, both made it to pit road just in time as the caution came out, so they might be in great shape here as we cycle around under caution. Sink actually passed through. He didn't stop in his box. Jeff Evans did, though. Craziness here in the pit cycle. Green flag pit stops at Iowa. Ends terribly for Richard Regan Jr., but let's see what happened to Stacy Hunter. That's Brandon Walter on the inside. Oh, dear. Trying to avoid one of the drivers that was pitting, and Ryan Traver gets involved. Ryan Traver, who is above the playoff cut line as well. That's two playoff drivers in deep trouble.
Oh, that stinks. And you know what's crazy? If you look at your leaderboard here, Abner Acosta was just barely still on the lead lap. Everybody else behind him was a lap down, so they're going to start behind everybody. But Abner Acosta, he's going to start right on the tail end of this. I think he's going to start like 21st, 22nd. This is this is going to get very interesting at the halfway point.
Ryan Traver, just gets destroyed there by Stacy Hunter coming down the track. Traver 0 points above the cut line, so he is in trouble. He'll be out here hoping that we get a couple more cautions and he can move his way through the field. Austin Hunter also still sitting on pit road here. Do not entirely know why, but I have to imagine that it might be a penalty of some sort, but also know it's not because you can't serve a penalty under caution. So I do not know what's happening with Austin Hunter. We will have to wait and see. But Thomas Sink and Jeff Evans, Thomas Sink didn't actually pit. He just drove through the lane, but he is still the leader. Jeff Evans did stop. He did a complete service, and he's also on just as new tires as everybody else in the field. So Jeff Evans will be the legitimate leader of this race, and I think he is the luckiest driver in the world right now because that caution came out perfectly for him.
I would say anybody who didn't pit right there is the luckiest person in the world, because you don't necessarily get that type of luck anywhere else, but you do here in racing. I mean, we're sitting here looking at the lead board, and you go, okay, PRL bingo card. Did anybody have Evans, Loving, Ryan Shield, Smith, and Lane your top 5 at Iowa? If anybody would tell me yes, I would laugh at them, because that was not the top 5 we thought. We thought we'd see Acosta, Holly, Powell, Richard Regan Jr. That would be up there. But this is the best part about racing, is you never know until you see it. And good on them. I hope they keep it up here. I'd like to see one of them win it.
And this guarantees a good run to the finish because we've got the drivers who have been dominating this race. Sean Powell, Abner Acosta, Bradley Holly a little bit further back. They are all 9th, 10th, and 11th right now. They've got a lot of drivers to make their way through and it is going to take a lot of work. Mark Kalin as well, the driver who tried to pull off the undercut. He was lucky. He was a full lap ahead of the field. He just came down, and Mark Kalin and Thomas Sink actually have the freshest tires of anybody right now by about 2 laps. So not much of a difference because it's been under caution, but still, Mark Kalin and Thomas Sink both in good positions here. Top 10, Terry read them all out as it all shuffled out, but there's the ages of everybody's tires. Dalton Geyer and Jim Westerfield are kind of in trouble. It's basically even throughout the field, but like you said, track position is very, very important, and some drivers have been far luckier than others with how that caution came out.
I mean, like I said, for most of those drivers that stayed out there, especially if you look at Loving and Ryan Shield and Evans, if they didn't get a caution and they come down and pit, their race is over. And I feel like I jinxed it because right when I said it, you cut it, and then a caution comes out, and it's like, well, I'll be dang. You know, I might be psyching. I need to get that. What's that USA show, Psych? Or is that canceled?
I don't know. And I think anything that airs on USA that isn't sports has probably been canceled. Or I guess they're still making Law and Order. They're still churning those out.
No.
I'm just gonna let the DMCA lawyers do their thing there. Law and Order, don't sue us.
Yeah, I don't know.
We've been unable to diagnose what happened to Richard Regan Jr., unfortunately. Whatever caused that truck to have that heavy, heavy damage, clearly he got into an incident somewhere, but unfortunately, it's a mystery where that actually happened. He's gone 2 laps down now, and there are a lot of drivers who are a lap down ahead of him, so it is going to be an uphill battle for Richard Regan Jr. to try and get back on the lead lap here. A race that was looking so good. One of the drivers who we know is going to be a championship contender was running second, fighting with Abner Acosta. He's now stuck 2 laps down with a damaged truck at that. He was sitting in the pits for about 1:10 of repairs. So if we do hear from one of the Phase 2 Chassis Works people about what happened to Richard, we will tell you. But as for right now, it's a little bit of a mystery. What's not a mystery is that the championship leader, Jeff Evans, will lead us to this restart. It has been a phenomenal start to the season for Jeff Evans. I'm sure he'd like a win. He would have liked to beat his dad for the win at Talladega last week, but second place was good enough to keep him in the championship. We only go 8 rows back because of the funkiness of when this caution came out. A lot of drivers got the wave round, a lot of drivers starting in a very, very long single file line. But for now, for the second time tonight, the iRacing Sedan pace car pulls off, and it'll be Jeff Evans and Steve Loving leading us back to green at Iowa.
Funny story on the restart here. Jeff actually messaged me this week. Sponsor loved the race, and they want to help me take care of the mullet. So go Jeff Evans.
Oh, there's a pile up in the background. About 3 drivers involved. Jose Medina, another playoff driver. And Robert Gilmore. That speaks for itself, but Jose Medina, it's been a bad day to be one of those drivers on the playoff cut line. Jose did not have much wiggle room to play with, only 8 points above it, and he is going to be in trouble here. We were 3 wide going into turn 1 with Robert Goff there. Brian Hoskins trying to lift off, and 4 into 1 does not go at Iowa. We wipe out Garrett Austin as well for good measure. That just looked like a lot of confusion, and I don't know why Brian Hoskins was backing out there. I also don't know why Robert Gilmore didn't put on the brakes, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. I'll leave it at that. That's all I got.
Why were we 4 wide? I'm dumbfounded as to why we went 4 wide at the back of the pack. I wonder, was Brian Hoskins trying to serve a penalty that he was trying to let people by? I am just so confused. Let's watch Brian Hoskins here. Ryan Traver is also very much off the pace.
Oh.
And then, 4 wide. It's never going to work.
I had my blow up last week. I won't do it again. I don't feel good. I got a pounding headache, and I really like my job here at RaceSpot.
I just don't know what was going on with Traver. We know he had damage from getting slapped by Stacy Hunter. I guess that explains why he was off the pace. You can see that truck is pretty well destroyed. I'm surprised that thing didn't get a meatball and it's still on the track. So I think he might have been full throttle. I think he might have also been letting people out around him on the outside, but I don't know. That was a lot of confusion for a little bit of an anticlimax of a restart, but I guess we'll get more normal of a restart this time. Everybody's back on the lead lap, and we won't have a line of about 18 cars to the back of the field that are all single file, because I think that caused some of the confusion. Now we get to rack everybody up 2 by 2 again, and hopefully we can get 43 more laps here green to the end, or 40, or whatever it is once this caution ends.
So I can understand Happy Gilmore. I can understand Robert, his situation. There was a truck underneath him, right? He didn't really want to go down. He was on the binders. I'm watching it in sim, and he's on the brakes, and he was on the brakes pretty decent. He was trying to roll it in, thinking that he was going to roll down the track a little bit to let him keep going. So I get that. There's a truck there. You don't anticipate that if you go down, you could hit whoever. You don't want to do it. I don't understand the 4 wide portion of it. I don't understand letting off the throttle going into the corner, and then when it goes 4 wide, driver gets to your outside, which is going to have to happen. And then you go up the track into him. That makes no sense to me.
I just pushed my second monitor a little bit too far off the desk, and it's currently leaning off. So I'm going to go put my second monitor back up. And Terry, I need you to fill the next 30 seconds or so while I fix that.
I can do that. Story time with Terry. So there I was watching a PRL race last week. And in my ear, I hear Joey and me talk about a car going 3 wide. And then a lap car hits everything. And if you haven't watched that show, I'd go back and watch it. It was very, very intriguing. But, yeah, there's 30 seconds with Terry. Just kidding. He's not talking yet.
I have good news, everybody. The second monitor, nothing's broken. It just kind of slid over a little bit. I got to put my camera back up, but we'll be going green here at Iowa in a matter of moments. I think the lights will be out in the pace car this time, but give me 15 more seconds.
Oh, well, that's a lot of time to kill. So the iRacing sedan pace car is going to cross the start-finish line here. We should be doubling them up as the lights do go off here. So set your top 5 here. You got Jeff Evans, Steve Loving, Colton Lane, Scotty Reinshield, Thomas Sink, and our buddy Austin Hunter back there with Sean Powell rounding out row 7. They're 2 by 2 through turns 3 and 1. Current track conditions out here. It is 80 degrees ambient temp with a little bit of humidity in the air, 52%. 90-degree track temp with that wind going to the west, it looks like, at 2 miles an hour, and it is partly cloudy in sim time, 8 October. It is 3:20 in the afternoon, and we're an hour away from showtime.
And now Terry Radford with traffic.
That's right. Yeah.
I have no idea how that happened. I've never knocked my monitor off my desk before. But anyway, Jeff Evans once again leads us to the restart. It's deja vu. We did this about 2 laps ago. But Evans and Loving lead us back to green. It's a good jump by Evans. Not so good from Loving. Reinshield to the inside of Loving. He's going to be almost clear of Steve. Coming into turn 1. And let's go 3 wide again. No, let's not. Colton Lane backs out of it. Austin Hunter to the inside of Steve Loving for 3rd.
You see Austin Hunter down there. Almost had the win last week. He had a very good shot at it until he had to come down for fuel. Thought that that was his moment here. As you see Sean Powell, he's coming up. He's right next to Colton Lane. Lane having a really good run so far, up 15 positions from where he qualified. But this is what Sean Powell doesn't want to see. He doesn't want to see it.
Austin Hunter,
no!
and he loses it. And he loses it. He takes his teammate Thomas Sink with him. Caution is back out at Iowa, and we're still wrecking. Thomas Sink tried to save it, and he gets wiped out. Oh, Westerfield, and they're still piling in. They are still piling in. Looks like Dalton Geyer, I think, might have been involved. Adam Zemke, I don't know if he got damaged. Jim Westerfield, who really needed to win tonight, he is going to bring it down pit road with heavy, heavy damage. I think that's Zach Panzarella in the background as well. We got calamity at Iowa now, Terry.
Just like a bag of popcorn, right? We started off with you said what's going to happen. I said it's going to be quite poppy. Well, there's that. And then, I mean, you see up here at the front, Austin gets Sink, and then all heck breaks loose. Westerfield catches the wall, tries to miss it. Bam. Richard Riga Jr. gets a little bit piece of that. That's probably one of the biggest wrecks I've seen Oh, and I mean, that's just by the hair of his chinny chin chin. And he almost had a safe. Ooh.
Almost took a Costa with him there. I have to imagine that steering wheel wasn't very straight, so probably not much Thomas Sink could do there. And let's watch it from back here when everybody kind of piled in. When it's close quarters at Iowa. It's tough to get through. You see Doug Evans in the bright green truck making it through. We ride on board with Dylan Schmidt as Thomas Sink spins down the track. Well done, Dylan Schmidt, getting on the brakes, finding the hole. But a couple of other drivers behind him were not quite so lucky, unfortunately. A lot of drivers coming down pit road. Traver makes it through this time, but Panzarella down there on the bottom, that is a smoking truck, and Panzarella is out of luck tonight. CM Pennington as well. Let's ride on board with Ryan as he sees just a cluster of trucks in front of him.
It's like a batch of caramel popcorn sitting here on the track. Everybody got to reckon smoking. I'm actually craving popcorn now. You shouldn't have started your opening talking about corn.
Yeah, I'm thinking all about corn, as I always do in Iowa. I couldn't make an elote joke. I couldn't think of any way to work Mexican street corn in, but there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity for corn jokes.
So much time. It takes me to the longest yard. Can of corn and a Diet Coke. Come on, tell me you've seen The Longest Yard.
I haven't seen The Longest Yard.
Oh my gosh. This Come on. Adam Sandler?
Nope.
Chris Rock?
I think the only Adam Sandler movie I've actually seen, other than when I was like a kid, is Uncut Gems. I don't think I need to go through his filmography.
Really? You've never seen Big Daddy?
Nope.
Happy Gilmore?
I have not seen Happy. I just know about the pickles on the wall, and I know about Robert. I know nothing
Grandma's
else.
Boy?
Nope. Jack and Jill.
Anything, like any of his great movies. You've seen none of them.
I don't believe it. I saw like one, I'm sure, when I was like 8, because that's like the thing that you did. Like you went over to your friend's house after soccer practice and you watched an Adam Sandler movie. But I don't remember. So Adam Sandler, if you're watching, I sincerely apologize, and I will watch your movies one of these days. But as of right now, I got no time to put movies on. I got to commentate 10 hours of PRL racing every week, which I think is probably a better investment than Adam Sandler.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, there's 24 hours in a day, and you're doing 10 hours. Oh, The Water Boy? I almost forgot about that. You haven't seen The Water Boy?
I have not seen The Water Boy. I've seen the SNL sketch where Norm Macdonald and Adam Sandler and Chris Farley and a couple others go to the polar bear cage, and I think that's good. That's enough of a sell. I don't think I need to watch anything more. That one's good enough. But anyway, it looks like the lights are going to be out in the pace car this time. For 7/8 of a mile track, the pace laps sure are long here at Iowa, aren't they? But
we had a whole time to talk about Adam Sandler films. I think I landed 10 off in a lap.
I could have read the whole Wikipedia page in that time, probably. But, Evans, and it's actually Reinshield to the outside now. So Steve Loving, after he got swallowed up by Scotty Reinshield on that short green flag run that we had before the calamity ensued, Scotty Reinshield will get to the outside. And look at this slow march forward for all the drivers who we expected to be fighting for this race win. Abner Acosta and Sean Powell restarted 2 restarts ago now in 9th and 10th, or 10th and 11th, something like that. They've already marched their way forward to 5th and 6th. They've only got 4 drivers to pass. That is going to be a tough proposition, I'm sure, but a far easier one than before as their competition kind of wiped each other out. But hopefully third time is a charm here. Hopefully we can go a little bit longer than half a lap. Once again, Jeff Evans leads us to green. Scotty Reinshield to his outside. Again, the outside gets a bad jump, but it's still better than Steve Loving, who's holding up Sean Powell just a little bit. We're back to green at Iowa. 35 laps to go.
Yeah, 35 to go, and this is definitely not now what Sean Powell wants to see. He's got Abner Acosta right there behind him.
3 wide for Sean Powell. He's not waiting up.
Don't wreck him.
It is working. It's working for now, but he's going to have to back out of it. Just did not work. The momentum again, even early on in the run on the high side for his teammate Scotty Reinshield. Powell washes up a little bit, almost takes Colton Lane with him. He is pushing hard. He knows there's a finite amount of time left in this race. Only 32 laps left to go. And and he is trying to push his way forward, getting as aggressive as I think we've ever seen him, but it's not working. Steve Loving is actually going to be able to fight back on Scotty Reinshield. Gets a little bit loose off turn 4. He's going to fall back, but Sean Powell is just pinched down there on the bottom by Colton Lane.
And that's the tough part. That's what he does not want to be in the situation. And he doesn't want to be in a situation. Jeff Evans just ran his fastest lap of the race. He just ran the fastest lap of everybody but Sean Powell. And he was a 10th off of him. So you don't want to see this. You dang sure don't want to be 3 wide when you're just scrubbing the speed off the tires here and you're allowing Jeff Evans to go away.
Colton Lane had to back out of that 3 wide there, but Sean Powell also had to back out of it just because he couldn't get the exit off the corner again. He is stuck back here behind Steve Loving, behind Sean Powell, and look who's on the scene. Abner Acosta gets by his old rival, Bradley Holly. Acosta to the back of Powell now, as now it's Lane and Loving going side by side, still blocking the road in front of Sean Powell. I'm sure this is extremely frustrating for Sean because he tried to go to the bottom, he's trying to find the top, and unfortunately for him, there's cars in every single one of those lanes.
Cars to the left of me and cars to the right. Here he is stuck in the middle with them. And eventually he'll get them. Eventually he'll get to the outside. He'll make this pass happen, but he's also going to need a bobble. He's going to need something to come of it. As I'm still adjusting a microphone thing as I see yellow on here, and it's not good. But you see Reinshield here. Reinshield's going to get the momentum off, and it's going to allow Loving to get right behind him. And they're going to kind of tandem their way into a position to get something done. And Loving's not messing around. He's sending it down in there, but now he's got Colton Lane, but Reinshield's still on the outside. Hold the serve.
And Scotty backs out to let his teammate through there. I think that's what happened there. And if you're Jeff Evans now, you see Sean Powell as that first driver behind you on your relative, you're probably getting pretty scared right now. Because in that initial stint of the race, we made it to green flag pit stops. We made it to halfway in the race. Jeff Evans, just to be frank, was not a match for Sean Powell on pace. Now he only has a 1-second gap and 27 laps to go. Will he be able to hold just Sean Powell back, or does he need some of these drivers to get back up there and hold him up for a little bit longer?
I mean, if we're watching.
Whoa, Mark Kalin in the wall as Colton Lane gets loose. Bad time to be a Whataback driver right now.
And it is, but I mean, if you're watching that ticker over there, brought to you by Butt Kicker and all the wonderful sponsors of the PRL, he's holding serve. It dipped under a second for a split second, but then it goes back over a second. You know, he's not really rolling over because Sean Powell's back there. And in all honesty, with 25 to go, I don't care if he's back there or not. He's only 1/100th of a second faster than you.
Colton Lane still trying to make the high lane work. He's actually going to stay ahead of Abner Acosta, who's really on the attack here. But I noticed on one of the last times we looked at Acosta's truck, there is damage to the front of the number 5. I have to imagine that came from one of the many, or it's not many, it's just 2 pileups that we've had recently. But Abner has gotten a little bit crunkled from that. That truck might be struggling a little bit, and Colton Lane is actually going to pull away just a little bit. But we know that Abner turns it up later on in the run. Unfortunately, though, there's only 24 laps left in this run. It's not going to be that long of a run. And if he's got damage, his tire wizard abilities might not come into consideration here, as I think that's Nicholas Hunter trying to get out of the way on top.
Yeah, Abner's kind of no man's land back here because it allowed other people to get around him. He allowed Powell to stay up there. He allowed Bradley Holly to get around him. And yeah, he just got around Colton Lane, but with the damage, this isn't an aerodynamic track. You can have a little damage and still be able to work your way through whatever. But it's also a momentum track. So if you scrub any speed there, you're not going to be able to sustain it for the remainder of that lap. You have to. It takes about a lap or 2 to get it. The race itself as a whole, he's been fine. Now, granted, with the damage, he might be a little off, but he might need a little help here.
Trying to do a little bit of playoff math while these guys continue to fight. I think Geyer and Sumner right now, as they run in 12th and 13th, they will advance into the round of 12. They will jump above the cut line. I'm just trying to calculate with Hunter and Medina and Traver. I think Traver is currently in the best luck. Jose Medina's out of luck. He's 6 laps down. Stacey Hunter is at the behest of how many points the other drivers score. Ryan Traver needs to outscore Stacey Hunter by 12 points. Currently, he's only 5 spots ahead, but he's also 8 laps ahead. So that is going to be an interesting dynamic to watch, but also an interesting dynamic to watch. As I listed that out, the gap for the lead has literally been cut in half. There was a little bit of lap traffic in the way, but Sean Powell is now within half a second, or almost half a second, of Sean Powell, of Jeff Evans. I don't remember which order I put them in, but either way, you get the idea. It's less than half a second now. Sean Powell's coming.
Yeah, look at that miracle. MiracleFlowHair.com. Pink and white with a little hint of blue for the playoffs on it. Nice little spot for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We are in the month of October. So everybody out there that has ever struggled with breast cancer or anything like that, or had family members, glad they're good, or, praying for them if they ain't. But Powell's not... He's been faster, but he's only been faster by a little bit. I don't know. I think maybe Evans could hold him off if he does it right. Is there smoke somewhere billowed up there?
I think that was one of our lapped cars bringing it down to the pits, but exactly like you said, catching Jeff Evans is going to be one thing, but when you're trying to rob a guy of his second PRL Truck Series win, his second PRL win as a whole, you're probably going to have to fight pretty hard, especially when he wants to keep the winning streak in the family. Doug wins last week, Jeff wins this week. That'd be a pretty darn good story, but we'll see if he can hold off Sean Powell and Bradley Holly as well charging forward. We watch Adam Zemke and Jeff Hollingsworth in battle here. Zemke is pretty much safe here in the playoffs unless he gets taken out, but even if he does, I think he's still good on points, so he's just racing for his championship right now. For position further ahead, Steve Loving and Abner Acosta. The yellow and red trucks. Looks a little bit like ketchup and mustard on an Iowa State Fair corn dog, and Abner Acosta is clear. Steve Loving.
I kind of wondered where you were going with it.
I got another corn food in, finally.
Yeah, that is true. I don't even know how to follow that. You see the battle for the lead. I'll try my best play-by-play if you'll let me for a second. See Jeff Evans up here in the lead, being chased by Sean Powell. It's 0.2 of a second, 14 laps to go. Lap traffic is about a half a second away here. They're both in the middle lane coming down the back straightaway. Can the 45 catch him before he catches lap traffic? Joey, back to you.
Unfortunately, in your play-by-play, you missed Steve Loving. I think I cursed him with the corn dog comment. I compared him to a good food, and then he hit the wall in that Coke Zero truck. So Steve Loving falls further down the order, but there's only 13 laps to go here. These are going to click by fast. Only 24-second laps we're running here at Iowa. 12 laps to go at the line. You do the math with a 7/8 of a mile track. Either way, there's not much time for Sean Powell to make the move, but it's going to feel like an eternity for Jeff Evans.
That's a pretty. I'm telling you, the back bumper of that 51 looks mighty good for the old Miracle Flow truck, and that's not me being biased because I'm growing a mullet. It's a pretty truck, but I've honestly seen more liquid moly trucks out there in the sim racing world as I, dive into the world of C opens and B opens and stuff. So. There's a lot of people on both sides that are here. You got people out there in the chat cheering for Jeff, people cheering for Sean. A lot of fans of PRL out there. But the gap, you talked about it a while ago, catching him, but passing him is different. You're not, just because you caught him doesn't mean you're going to get around him easy. It's coming to 10 to go, and that's the closest he's been. Jeff Evans has found something that Richard Regan Jr. was using earlier in the race. Ride the wall. You only have to do it for 15 laps.
Top 3 in the championship, by the way, are the top 3 in the standings right now. Not quite in order. Sean Powell is behind Bradley Holly in the championship, but I think with the amount of laps he's led tonight and also beating him by 1 position, he will jump Holly. But Jeff Evans still in the lead of this race. That was a great turns 3 and 4 for Sean Powell, but he loses it all in the exit again. He seems to be way better through the midsection of the corner. But the midsection of the corner is not really important when Jeff Evans is exiting so well, and it looks a little bit like Texas a couple weeks ago when Powell was trying to chase down Regan. He was clearly the quicker of the two, but he just couldn't get the exits going. Again, dives it to the inside of 3 and 4. He's actually alongside Evans this time. It's as close as he's been, but Evans still hangs on, extends that gap to the same 2/10 or so. 8 laps to go for Sean Powell. He's going to have to get to the outside, I think.
Can we go on board with Sean Powell before he goes into 3 and 4 again? Any chance, producer?
Oh, Garrett Austin
Yeah, we
hold him up while he's doing that.
So you see how he wants to sail it in there. He finally moves up there to the outside. But if you listen to the throttle, the metallic, oh, he
He's
gets
in
the wall there.
Powell's in the wall.
He carried so much speed there, Joey. That's the problem. He was doing it on the bottom. He would send it in there, and he would get a straight dive arc into the corner, catch that yellow line, and then wash it back up the racetrack. And he scrubbed about a 0.5 a second right there just by doing it. And that time he carried too much speed on the high side, and he flirted with disaster. And we'll see what it does to his truck.
Powell was able to bring the gap down a little bit just on that lap. He made up about 2/10 on his recovery drive, so this is not over, but the job just got a lot more difficult. And if the caution comes out, that's going to make it even more difficult because we have got a hornet's nest of drivers back here. Mark Kalen's going to make it 3 wide with Eric Lambert, and Steve Loving almost gets into the left rear quarter panel of Steve Loving's truck, backs out of it though. And look at Doug Evans out of nowhere. We saw him marching his way through the field on that long green flag run earlier. He might be in for a top 10 here as Lambert and Loving are still side by side. Charles Sumner trying to fight for his playoff spot as well. He's in a good position. He doesn't want to get taken out. But this is crazy stuff for the last couple spots in the top 10.
Yeah, what a story once again. I mean, you think about it. Comes off the win last week, was excited to get that win. Could back it up coming into Iowa. The top 10's a very realistic opportunity right now for Doug Evans. Will he take it 3 wide right here? He almost did, but Kalen gets clear, and now they're 3 wide. Loving's to the outside, Kalen's in the middle. They'll be 3 wide off the exit 2 down the back straightaway, and they're all chasing Eric Lambert right here, who's sitting in 9th. But Doug Evans, he works his way right now there, and it's going to be a pinball fest. I hope they make it. Oh, 6-2's loose.
Jeff Evans is currently praying to the ancient Aztec corn gods for this caution not to come out. There's 3 laps to go. Sumner washes up just a little bit, almost gets into Kalen, but time is running out for Sean Powell up front. Jeff Evans is in control of this race. He's going to take the 2 to go here as everybody still fights for these last spots in the top 10. 2 to go at the line. Jeff Evans in the Miracle Flow truck. It's been the most pressure I think he's ever been under in the PRL. But down the back straight for one more time around. He just needs one more good one. The caution's not going to come out. Jeff Evans is in great shape here as he takes the white flag at Iowa Speedway. One more time around for Jeff Evans. Last week at Talladega, it was his dad, Doug, who ended up winning in the PRL for the first time. Jeff tried to steal it from him, couldn't quite get by him, pushed him to the victory, but down the back straight for the final time. For the second time in the Precision Racing League, Jeff Evans, not Doug Evans, is in complete control. Powell throws it in through the final corner, but victorious at Iowa, Jeff Evans extends his championship lead. He did not flake under pressure from Sean Powell. A great story to keep it in the Evans family. Mark Kalen's going to hang on as well for 11th as Charles Sumner attacks. Doug Evans came home in the top 10. Well, what a result for Jeff Evans.
It's a win for mullets across the United States. You said he didn't flake there. That's because he uses Miracle Flow products. You know, you got Head and Shoulders out there on the market, but the way that I've read the reviews on Miracle Flow, Head and Shoulders above the rest, if you know what I'm saying. So there was not a flake anywhere on his shoulders. That was the best plug I got.
Jeff Evans holds off Sean Powell to be victorious for only the second time. He got his first win a couple seasons ago, and Jeff Evans has got to be in conversation for this championship. He was consistent in the first 2 rounds. He wins here at Iowa with a little bit of luck, of course, to keep him out front, but it takes a lot of skill to hold off Sean Powell like that, and Jeff Evans gets to celebrate, gets to take that load off his shoulders, and I'm sure we will be talking to him in a matter of moments here, and I'm sure he's going to be very, very excited and have some good words to say about your favorite sponsor, Terry.
Well, he might have had some luck there to get him up front, but he had speed as well in that 51 machine. I don't want to take that away from him. The 45 had speed as well, but the problem was a mistake cost that 45 the win. If Sean Powell didn't get the wall there by sailing it in the corner, I think we're having a different conversation. I think we're talking the 45-1, 51-2. It would be where we'd be sitting at here. But you make a mistake, that happens. Sean Powell wanted to win this race, but Jeff Evans takes it.
Jeff Evans victorious at Iowa over Sean Powell. Bradley Holly really closed that gap down to come home in third, and Abner Costa with a damaged truck ended up in fourth. Scotty Reinshield was fifth, and then the rest of the top 10 went to Lane, Zemke, Hollingsworth, Lambert, and last week's winner, Doug Evans, keeping both Evanses in the top 10 here. Eric Lambert came home or Mark Kalin rather came home in 11th ahead of Charles Sumner. You saw that little bit of a photo finish, and then Loving, Geyer, Schmidt, Hunter, and Amasi were the last drivers on the lead lap. I think that means that Sumner and Geyer are locked into the playoffs, but we'll do the math a little bit later on that. Nicholas Hunter, Brandon Walter, James Dewar went 3 laps down, as did a few others. 1 lap down. 21st place went to Kevin McGarvey, Patrick Cowgill, and Robert Goff all went 1 lap down. 2 laps down were Garrett Austin, the mysteriously damaged Richard Regan Jr., and Oliver Goff. And we get down to the used car lot of drivers who were heavily, heavily damaged. Ryan Travers, Zach Panzarella, Jose Medina, Brian Hoskins, Thomas Sink, Adam Shane, Stacey Hunter, Jim Westfield, CM Pennington, Robert Gilmore, Doyle Lawrence. Those were all the drivers who ran into trouble in a calamitous day at Iowa for some drivers, but a celebratory day for Jeff Evans, who navigated the Iowa corn maze. You're the championship leader coming into the week, and you just extended it by winning for the second time.
Man, who would have thought? Who saw that coming, huh?
I mean, did you see it coming? That caution came out perfectly for you.
Honestly, well, until that caution, no. Once the caution came out, I knew I was going to have a shot at it just because I somehow got really lucky with my timing when I was pitting and got on pit road maybe a second or two before everything caution came out. So got lucky there, and then just had to, just kind of run my line and drive away.
How much were you sweating in those last couple laps with Sean Powell breathing down your neck?
Oh man, I was really enjoying watching a couple of those guys holding him and Brad up on that second restart. They gave him a good little fight there for a minute, but once they saw him clear, it's like, all right, it's on me now, and I just had to just keep hitting my line on the outside and not screw up. I knew it was gonna be tough to pass me on the inside, so it worked out.
So with this win, obviously, I mean, you were already locked into the round of 12 with the points you've accumulated, but you've solidified that, and also, like I said, you're the championship leader right now in season 4. Are you thinking about the next 7 weeks? You think you can keep this up?
I mean, no, I am not thinking about it whatsoever. I'm just kind of just clicking them off one race at a time. I really like the next couple of tracks that are coming up, but the last few are a little bit more daunting, I think. So it'll be interesting, but I'm enjoying it while it lasts, at least.
All right, well, congrats on your win tonight, and I'm sure Terry would be very sad if you didn't shout out those sponsors before I kicked you out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. As always, shout out to Phil over at Miracle Flow. Obviously, the Whataback guys. Every week we're working together to kind of figure this all out, and it apparently worked out 2 weeks in a row now. And then I forgot them last week, but shout out to the Simulator Anonymous guys too. They've been helping out a lot lately, and it's fun to see them finally in the league. So that's it.
2 Evans victories in a row. We'll see if they can make it 3. Jeff Evans will be back next week, but we've got another driver to talk to. Sean Powell is with Terry.
The Powell of the Shawns. He come up 1 spot short this week. Kind of caught the wall a little bit. Talk me through those last little bits of the race. How hard were you trying to catch him?
Oh, just trying to get around those guys, man. Like on the restart there, that was the difficult thing. He pulled out about a 1.2, 1.3 second lead or something like that. And that was really, it comes down to getting caught underneath that caution, Like, it's kind of almost like Texas again, Like, I felt like I was kind of a dominant car at Texas, I feel like. And, like, in the night's race, I was the same. I feel like I was the same thing. And Texas, Richard just out, has a pit strategy, and that was better than mine, and couldn't get around him, and just bad luck.
Well,
but the last couple, just rolling him down was just on the bottom, and just these sets are so tight. I knew once I got close to him, that he's going to potentially go to the top, and I don't care how much faster you are than someone. it sets tight and they're protecting, they are on the defense side, it's going to be very, very difficult to pass.
It does. That does tend to hold. How do you feel coming up in the next couple races? Because we have, I believe it's Vegas next week. How do you feel going into the next couple sets of races? Because I mean, you have Homestead, Vegas, and then I believe it's Martinsville. So I mean, you have
Correct.
3 polar opposite tracks that you're going to. What's your confidence level there?
I feel good about all them tracks coming up. There's really no roadblock that I see that I struggle with, more so. And I know I'm in the championship hunt, I believe. So I think I get a good chance. It just, I haven't won this season, but I've been there. So that's all that matters.
That is all that matters. Well, Sean Powell, let's thank those sponsors that make it all possible for you.
I want to thank Liquid Molly for believing in our vision. I want to thank Gearhead. I want to thank y'all guys at RaceSpot, Bradley, Holly, and all the admins and stuff that puts all this up. Charles and all them. Y'all, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I think that's it. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm forgetting, but who knows?
I like it.
And everybody else will put on. It was a pretty good race for the most part. I mean, it was a little caution fest there, a little bit around lap 60 or 70, but we got it under control. So that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. Sean Powell, P2 here tonight. We'll see you next week at the Vegas of Loss.
All righty.
Sean Powell, P2 tonight, and we get to talk to P3 now. We got the whole Iowa podium here. Bradley, Holly, it was Jeff and Sean battling it out there at the end, and you were slowly but surely catching them. Did you think you might have a shot there in the dying laps?
I mean, unless Sean made contact with Jeff, I would say yeah. But I got stuck behind traffic so bad that they had a big enough gap to where I would have had to find some grip packs or something just to try to catch them.
I don't want to talk about the race anymore. We're in Iowa. We've had a lot of corn chat tonight. What's your favorite corn dish?
Corn on the cob, that's it.
Good answer. Good answer. Simple. Can't beat it. And also, Terry was wondering. He was wondering if you could tell us what's in the safe behind you. Is it top secret? What's going on back there?
Big boy toys. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Big boy toys. Oh boy, it's a lot of.
I want to see later.
Corn on the cobs, I'm sure. But anyway, I will talk to you about the championship because, of course we got to talk about the championship. We're being professional here. It's been you, it's been Sean, it's been Jeff. You guys are all like almost equally matched on points. 7 tracks to go. You've seen the schedule. Who do you think it suits the most?
I mean, at this point, it's anybody's game. If we have races like this again throughout the season, it's going to be interesting. I mean, we got Phoenix, Martinsville, Homestead, Dover. We got a few tracks coming up that are going to be interesting, and then you got to throw ISS in there also. I'm not particularly focused on the season championship. I'm more focused on the yearly championship. That's what I'm concerned about. That's my main focus for this season, and I just want to beat Abner and whoever else makes it in the top 4.
All right, well, we wish you good luck in the coming weeks, and I guess we'll see you on Monday night if you're back for the MX-5s.
I will be.
All right, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Bradley, Holly, P3 tonight, and we had a quick race, so the hits keep on coming. We got more people to talk to here. We got P6, Colton Lane. Terry, talk to our P6er.
I get to do this on cameras too. I get to show the mullet off. Colton Lane,
Wow.
What are you doing?
Just kind of hanging out, wanted to see if you guys wanted to talk to somebody, finish outside the top 5, but
Yeah, I'm in it. So the number 60 machine looked pretty good out here tonight. I saw you popped in there that ISS would be chaos in the chat. Likelihood chance of you winning that race?
Well, I've not won on a plate race before, so I'm going to say odds are low, but, with the power of Waterback, we can do anything, but by that point, you never know what we're going to be doing for, we might be a majority of the people in the playoffs at that point, and then it might be, every man for themselves or little subsections. We'll see, but
I like it. Who all makes it possible to go on the track tonight?
well, I mean, Waterback fellas. I mean, I probably wouldn't be racing on Wednesdays if it wasn't for them still. I mean, I've had some, times where I didn't want to do it, but, getting out here every week with them, racing is fun. I mean, and I'd miss it, to be honest with you. So keep on doing it. I mean, I just love this league too. I mean, it's the only league I've been a part of one other league, and it didn't have this kind of vibe that PRL has. PRL, it just seems like everybody, for the most part, wants to get out here, have some fun. We race hard, but at the end of the day, we all, can look back afterwards, be like, you know what, that was fun. I might not have finished where I wanted to, might not have, had the best race, but I still had fun, and I'd come back and do it again, So I'm glad to have found this place when I did, and I don't want to go anywhere else in iRacing other than here, man.
Well, I like to hear. We love PRL too. All right, we'll see you next week at Vegas.
Yes, sir, fellas. Have a good night. We got to survive LSU this week, Terry. We got to do it.
That's what I like to hear. We don't want to see the Tigers beat the Vols.
No, sir.
See you next week. We'll talk some Bama football.
Yes, sir. See y'all later.
Colton Lane P6, and as always, we got to finish up with this guy, Austin Hunter. You finished P16, but I guess most importantly, you were like on the cusp, I think, mathematically, of potentially being eliminated from the playoffs. If like you finished 37th and like Westerfield finished first, but you survived.
Yeah, I would have loved for my teammate Jim and Nick both to advance, but it wasn't in the cards for the season. But just glad to get out of Iowa and get to the next round.
Yeah, what happened there with you and Sean Powell? Looked like you just got a little bit loose, and then it all kicked off.
Yeah, a little loose. To be honest, I didn't really have the speed to be up running with those guys. I just got lucky on pit strategy. I was hoping it was going to come to me a little more than it did, but I just got a little loose there too. And as soon as Sean hit me, there was no saving at that point. I ended up taking out a teammate.
So now that you are in the round of 12, we got Vegas, we got Homestead, we got Martinsville. Martinsville's always chaotic no matter what league takes it on, so that could be a place for anybody to win. But what are you thinking coming into the round of 12? Do you think you're making it to the round of 8?
I'd like to think so. I've had some decent speed this season if I can keep out of trouble. I do actually run pretty well at Martinsville if I can, keep all the fenders on it. I usually have a pretty good night. Just gonna kind of try to stay out of trouble the best I can, not push so hard for top 5s, and just take my top 10s when I can get it and hope to advance.
I'm going to ask Brad the same question. We'll see if you have the same answer. What is your favorite corn dish? Because we're in Iowa.
Oh, I know he said corn on the cob, but
you stream sniped it.
Good.
I guess I'm gonna have to go with the other option of elote. It's
good choice
down here in Texas.
Good choice. The old Mexican street corn.
We got the reference in.
We did. We finally got elote in naturally. Nobody mentioned the chicha morada, which is a Peruvian purple corn drink that I've had once. That's pretty good. But maybe next week we'll talk about more corn. We go to Kansas, I think. Do we go to Kansas in this season? No, we don't go to Kansas. So I guess there will be no more corn talk, but we'll work it in.
We can make room.
All right, Austin Hunter, we'll see you next week, and we wish you good luck in the round of 12.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
French driver Austin Hunter finished P16 tonight, but I'm sure he will be in better shape next week when we go to Las Vegas, and hopefully he doesn't get loose in the Iowa back straight and get taken out there. So, Terry, Iowa, a lot of stuff went on, a lot of stuff to talk about, but it was a quick race, even with those cautions.
Yeah, we only saw this guy, Barney the Flagman, come out a couple times. So, very cool shirt. iRacing.com/merchandise. Get yourself a Barney the Flagman t-shirt out there. Now you can go sporting it around to people that probably don't even know what iRacing is half the time. They just think that you're on a video game. But Iowa was cool. Exactly what we thought it was going to be. Close quarters racing. People smacking the wall. People getting loose on the bottom. People getting loose on the long run. Off to Vegas. And I think a surprise winner next week.
Oh,
I'll roll the dice.
Who's it going to be? We had Doug. We had Jeff. We had Richard Regan Jr. to start the season. Who's it going to be?
Let's look at my Rolodex.
I'm not breaking out the random number generator until iRacing Super Speedway, by the way. That's how long you got to wait for that.
I'm taking Colton Lane.
Colton Lane.
Taking Colton Lane, surprise winner next week. I'll roll the dice on 60.
I'm I'm feeling in my head that it's going to be a Jeff Evans 2 for 2. He played himself down. He said he wasn't going to be fighting for the championship, but
That'd be huge.
Look at the championship. 7th, 2nd, 1st, 3 very different types of tracks. Jeff Evans is in this conversation. I can guarantee.
That'd be huge.
Would be very huge indeed, but we hope you'll join us for the next 7 weeks of PRL NASCAR Truck Series competition. Next week, as we have mentioned very, very much, Las Vegas is coming up next week. Always a good track for any NASCAR series on iRacing, and we will take trucks there 9 p.m. ET, same time, same place as always here on RaceSpotTV. And as always, there's 5 nights of PRL action here on RaceSpot and on VCO on Twitch. Tomorrow night will be the IRO4 series and the F3 series, and then after that we go to Sunday, we go to Monday, we go to Tuesday, we go to Wednesday, and then we go to Thursday again. 5 nights a week. We hope you'll join us for all of them. But from me, from Terry Radford, from Connery Maddock, not Cornery anymore, as we've left Iowa, we thank you for tuning in tonight. We hope you'll join us whenever, next time, whenever that is. But until next time, so long.